chance now to have this Bose Cinemate 130, probably about five days, 5 nights. And so within that amount of time, I've been able to kind of get some pretty good opinions of it, what we think, and the biggest decision of all is, are we keeping it or not? For those of you who don't want to sit here and watch a big video of me talking, because frankly, to review a soundbar, that's what I'm going to be doing a lot of. The simple short truth of it is, we love it. We're going to keep it. It's not going back. So with that being said, if you're thinking about getting one, at the very least hey, here's somebody satisfied with it and going to keep it. As you can see with our setup right here, I apologize about the light. Trying to do the best I can, but this unit's completely black. None of my equipment's black. I got a black TV right here, so it's kind of hard to get the lighting and everything to show up. But this kind of gives you an idea of how the unit stands as it is right now. So one of the things I'll start talking about with this unit is a lot of the considerations that we put into before buying it. One of them, first and foremost, is the looks. Previous to having this soundbar, I had a couple Infinity Alpha 50 tower speakers. Had them for a long time, love them. They made me happy. I didn't have any concerns with them, but my wife wanted something that took up a little less room right now. The speakers we knew were temporary. We knew at some point we want to do something different for audio. Long term, I'll have a separate theater room. So she definitely had, I would say, even more than an equal say in what product we ended up with. But I wasn't going to go from those speakers to something that didn't sound, at least what I would call somewhat equivalent as far as sound quality goes. One of the biggest things that I think some people will say is that any soundbar is good enough. Why didn't you go to Costco and buy a Vizio? I got one, sounds just fine. And I'm not trying to put them down. Any soundbar, for that matter, any soundbar is better than the stock speakers in these TVs because they suck. There's just, this is okay for very, very small situations. Otherwise, at least for me, I never want to use the audio out of these TVs. So again, anything's an improvement. But at the same time, and this is true for audio for years now, anything can get loud. It doesn't take very much to get a loud piece of equipment sitting here and filling up the room, no matter how big your house is. I wanted more than just loud. So that being said, this unit was $12.99. That's a lot of money for a soundbar. But we were also not out to buy another one in a couple years, not another one for 5 years. And as long as this thing's running, we will not be buying another one for this room. So that being said, there was, for me, very limited market. The main one that I was comparing this Bose one to, besides the other Bose Cinemate series themselves, was Definitive Tech's Solo Studio, and they have a W version as well, about $9.99 and $12.99 respectively. Definitive Tech, I've only gotten to hear this stuff in stores. I love it. It's what's going to end up in my home theater room. So it was a high consideration for me. But one of the main things I'm going to spend kind of going over in this video is what led us to this soundbar. What do we like? What do we love? And what maybe could be better. So, okay, a lot of talking. Let me get into some specifics about this. Okay, so our TV is a 46-inch TV, and the soundbar is 37 inches long. Fits in really nice. It doesn't overextend. The Definitive Tech soundbar is 43 inches long, and these aren't big things, but that soundbar would have been this long. And they'll even say in their comments that they've designed it around 50-inch or larger TVs. So that was something to think about, the fact that if we had that soundbar, if you've ever seen pictures online, maybe I'll try to slip one in here. It's long, it's got silver end caps. So how did that fit into the looks? Aesthetics for my wife was huge. That was one of the biggest things for it. We had good audio. Again, I had these Infinity Tower speakers. Audio quality wasn't the problem. Aesthetics were the problem. So with that being said, as everything we looked at, she thought the Definitive Tech looked nice. We don't have a Magnolia Hi-Fi here. We had a local audio store with some higher end stuff. They sell Definitive, but they didn't have them there. So we didn't get to hear it in person. But the looks of this one, knowing that it wouldn't extend past the edge of the TV, we don't have a 50-inch TV. We're never going to have a 50-inch TV in our living room. The look of this soundbar, the slickness on here, the fact that if we decide to put it up on the wall here above the fireplace, that we could mount it like this. This was the most attractive looking unit of everything we looked at, hands down. And when you are looking to spend good money, looks do matter. Maybe not for all of you, that's fine if it doesn't, but looks definitely matter here. I don't know how much good this is going to do visually speaking. But here's the unit. And my unboxing video was about the same size as the sub. There's a sub tucked back there. I need to clean up my wires some. I'm sure this doesn't look that great a quality. Nevertheless, what this box does that it was very appealing is it does have 4K pass-through. It has 4 HDMI ins with an HDMI out to the TV. And then you've got some other auxiliaries in. So for example, and you can see it back here on the wall, I'm a cable cutter. Yeah, I'll spend a lot of money on Soundbar, but I won't pay a cable bill. You know, feel free to comment about that. So I've got over-the-air antenna, fiber optic out from the TV into the Bose box. Now this soundbar, I believe, has been out since 2011 or so. 6 speakers, 2 phase drivers, so it's still newer technology. It sounds fantastic. But the speaker's been around for a while. It used to be to get a box like this, you had to pay for, and now it's, I think, the Cinemate 135, a couple grand. This box is newer to Bose as far as I'm aware, and its features. And so because of that, it really kind of upped the value over the different soundbar options Bose had previously. So that was the big deciding factor. Next thing I want to talk to everybody about, I want to talk to you about the remote. Now this is kind of insane, even in my opinion, to talk about a remote. However, I spent $1,300. That means I get to talk about a remote. Overall, the functionality is great. But the first thing I notice, I have big hands. I don't like where they put this curve. This is stupid to talk about, but I'm going to do it. It feels really nice right here. Finger grips it. I have a big hand, and my thumb can't reach all the buttons I need. This is, in my opinion, all the taller the remote should have been. So this little bit higher kind of gets there. Okay, but anyway, this hooked up through HDMI. It does have the new technology where it'll control your devices through HDMI. So for example, cable satellite, I put that to my Apple TV. So I'm gonna hit the button, we'll get this Bose unit turned on. And sometimes you have to be a little patient, but the TV will turn on. And so I like that. That's pretty nice. Now and then if I hit the volume, you know, run through the box. But one of the things that was nice, if I take the TV remote, and why do we have two? Well, sometimes it's nice to have volume remote by somebody else. You can see the TV is actually saying Bose Cinemate. It's recognizing what type of system is actually hooked up to it. So that's pretty nice. All right. If you're still with me, appreciate it. Let's talk about the sound. When it comes to music, it does a great job overall. But I'm going to say that there's a reason why it's called the Cinemate, because it sounds better for movies. It just legitimately does a better job for movies, in my opinion, than it does for, say, hard rock. The pianos that are playing through right now, it doesn't really do you any good to be listening to them, because unless you're listening to it through Cinemate, and the microphone on this camera, I promise you, is not good enough, you're not hearing the same thing I am. I kind of wanted to get this stabilized a little bit for you. In fact, okay, I wanted to get this stabilized again. The biggest thing I've noticed now coming from my Infinity Alpha speakers that just has blew me away on this is the clarity. The clarity on this speaker is above all my expectations. And so the reason I started with the piano playing is because, let's say for example, you're watching Lord of the Rings. Piano, string, and wind instruments are they're just phenomenal. That clarity carries through so well that I couldn't ask it to do more, to do better on that. Acoustic guitars, I'd say they missed the mark a little bit. Classical and acoustic guitar sounds great, but being the fact I used to play guitar myself, I don't feel like it hits the mark quite as well as it hits the mark on some of the other instruments. But as a Cinemate, with its name, you go to watch a movie and the big epic soundtrack comes on, it's just amazing. One of the things they do with their phase drivers is they kind of claim to create a field of music. So it's not just the left to right, which this will do, but it'll give you a field of music. And I'm going to say that that is completely accurate. When I'm sitting on our couch about 8 feet away, I feel like there's depth. So I feel like the sound effects can go from a forward to a certain range. It never comes all the way up against me, and it certainly never goes to the side or behind me like a dedicated surround sound unit would, but it does create a 3D sense in front of me. and it doesn't take much. So if you've got an object coming from the front to the back of your screen, you do sense the motion of that object. So to come from a soundbar, that was something I wasn't expecting on there. The biggest complaint I actually have about this, and I know again on the dev tech that I was reading that I was kind of comparing this to, this isn't a problem for them, is the Acoustimass wireless subwoofer. It doesn't go big. Let me just put it that way. It's clean, it's crisp. I've never distorted it. It follows through with everything just fine, but it doesn't hit home. It doesn't shake the house like you feel like a $1,300 unit would. But at the same time, it's always refined, it's always clear, and it sounds good, and it never goes to maybe like a fake false envelope that I've heard some subwoofers do before, just because they're simply trying to shake the ground and make you feel it in your chest. It's always clean and tight. So I'd rather have it say clean, tight, clear, than to go to a place that it can't acoustically handle. So with that being said, the subwoofer is a little weak. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to give the unit for myself a 10 out of 10. Now that same unit, that same sub, comes with, I think they have a Cinemate 15 and just a little speaker, and we listened to that in the store. Oh wow, impressive for what it was, not what we were looking for. They have a Cinemate 120, not quite as big a speaker, and then the Cinemate 130, and no matter which soundbar, they're coming with the same sub. And so that, I think that's a little bit of a problem on Bose's part, because the sub's not matched to this higher end soundbar that they have. Again, they stay together, they stay voiced together. I just feel like the subwoofer could have been bigger. They could have used one of the subs from the other lines. I would have been fine to not even have it wireless if that's what it took. So, but again, this isn't meant to be the final destination home theater for us. So with those things being said, probably the part that matters the most is where does it rank? I would say for me it's an 8 out of 10 when you factor everything in. If the price point was probably $8.99, $9.99, I would say it's a 10 out of 10. But it is that couple $100 more than a perfect score. But I mean, if you've bought anything Bose, you know that a lot of people probably won't even look at the product. They won't even look at this review. They don't want to hear anything about it because it's Bose. You know, there are those people out there. You might be one of them, and if you are, go find something else to do. So with that being said, for my wife, 10 out of 10. I would just up and down, left and right. She loves the way it looks. She loves the way it sounds. It's unlike anything she thought we'd end up owning. And for me to have her that much happy, you know, that takes care of the couple $100 that's missing from me giving it a 10 out of 10 review. And the final piece on here that I thought was fantastic is you can actually control, of the 6 speakers, I'm assuming 2 are dedicated to your center voicing. You can control the level of the center. So we've got ours at 3, and really with the 3 and having the enhanced voice mode on, that allowed us to have very low volume but clear voices for watching shows without having to bring up the rest of the volume too loud. So that was a fantastic option. I was really glad to see that on here, because it means we don't have to turn this thing off if we're watching TV. We never have to go back to the TV speakers. Okay everyone, thanks for watching this video. I know it's probably a little long, a little boring. Again, I don't have the masterful equipment to make this overly entertaining, but at the same time, when I was looking to purchase this unit, I couldn't find really any reviews or anything on YouTube, hence the unboxing video, everything I've talked about now. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. I'll keep track of it for at least a little while after posting it so that I can answer your questions. And the longer this is out, more information is going to come. But again, overall, we knew before we bought it, it was an expensive purchase. It's one of those things you kind of just do or don't do. I think we all put our money in some places, and we are just ready to put our money into a really good audio unit that we hope, as long as this thing keeps working, we're not going to have to ever replace. So with that being said, we're happy. So thanks for watching.